Yes, it's time to start getting excited about Star Wars 8, SpiderMan Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Lego Batman. Did I say Star Wars 8? I did, didn't I? I'm James from GamesRadar, and these are the most exciting movies to watch in 2017. And so you know which ones to get excited for first, we've put them in chronological order. John Wick, Chapter 2. If you're not excited about John Wick Chapter 2, then you obviously haven't seen John Wick, one of the smartest, most energetic, most straight damn exciting action movies of recent years. John is the best of the best assassin, now retired, who gets back on his horse to avenge his murdered dog, spoilers, which was actually an emotional cipher for his recently dead wife. In the sequel, John, played by Keanu Reeves, who has never looked cooler, is trekking between the US and Rome to help an old friend seize control of a global assassins guild. Clearly, he continues to be not very good at retiring, but that's no bad thing at all.
Mr. Wick, do enjoy your party.
The Lego Batman movie. Depending on who you ask, Will Arnett's supporting role as Batman was the best part of 2014's The Lego Movie, so obviously he has now been given the starring spot in an adventure of his own. In the Lego Batman movie, the Caped Crusader will be taking down the Joker and learning life lessons with adopted son Robin. The trailers point to even more send-ups of the traditional Batman universe and lots of good-natured silliness like this.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry.
Logan. Technically, Logan is only the third Wolverine movie, but let's be honest, X-Men, X2, The Last Stand, and Days of Future Past are all Wolverine movies as well. The world has plenty of movies about Hugh Jackman taking his shirt off and yelling, so why should you be excited about another movie with Hugh Jackman likely losing someone he loves and getting nasty about the knives embedded in his arms? Well, because finally, after 7 movies and 2 cameos, we're going to get to see Wolverine engage in R-rated behaviour. The premise of an aged Logan in a vaguely post-apocalyptic world struggling to keep a young mutant alive with Professor X is exciting, but the fact that Wolverine will actually be able to cut loose in fight scenes is far more energising. Power Rangers. Yep, Power Rangers. The reboot is providing a fresh take on the Rangers, giving them Iron Man-esque armour, mechs that could have come from Pacific Rim, and the emotional baggage that comes from being weirdos and criminals. Elizabeth Banks chews up the scenery as slinky villain Rita, and Bryan Cranston chips in as the Rangers' floating head advisor Zordon. Some of the movie's aesthetics have drawn raised eyebrows from fans, but overall, Power Rangers is in keeping with the current spate of high-school action heroes from movies like The Hunger Games and Divergent. Hopefully more the former than the latter.
I've killed Rangers before.
Ghost in the Shell. DreamWorks and Steven Spielberg bought the rights to make a live-action Ghost in the Shell adaptation all the way back in 2008, promising us big-screen adventures where Major Makoto Kusanagi was a real-life human being, or at least played by one. Now it's finally here, and Scarlett Johansson is the Major. Yes, some people are upset that an aging actress isn't filling the role, but in the wake of early trailers, it's hard to deny that she looks the part. The rest of the film is directly inspired by the 1995 animated feature, right down to the fight choreography, but there are implications that this will be a more personal story focusing on the Major herself, rather than the political and spiritual conflicts she becomes embroiled in the original film, comic and TV show. It's been nearly a decade in coming, but it's looking well worth the wait.
They did not save your life, they stole it.
Fast 8. Sick of the Fast and Furious movies yet? No you're not, what are you talking about? Fast 8 is hitting cinemas in 2017, so get ready for more fast cars, furious Vin Diesel, and fast cars. This will be the first Fast and Furious movie, set for Tokyo Drift obviously, without Paul Walker's character Brian O'Connor. Little is known about the story other than the fact that it's set in New York, but we do know that Charlize Theron has signed on as the movie's villain, not to mention that Helen Mirren has been confirmed as a new cast member as well. Returning from the previous films are Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson, Michelle Rodriguez, Kurt Russell, and of course, Vin Diesel.
I will beat you like a Cherokee drum.
Oh, it took longer than I expected.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is due in theatres next April. Star-Lord is back, obviously, and this time he's finding out about his true parentage, as well as battling an artificial being called Paragon, or Her, or Kismet, or Aisha. Look, it's got loads of names, okay? We know that most of the members of the original movie are returning, and that the film kicks off about 3 months after the climax of the first. There will be a new mixtape soundtrack, loads of Baby Groot, and plenty of other Marvel comic cameos.
You feel love. Sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
Alien Covenant. Directed by Ridley Scott himself, the events of the upcoming Alien Covenant are set on a remote planet on the furthest side of the galaxy, which the crew of the Covenant stumble upon. Soon after, however, they realise they're not alone. Strolling amongst the flora is David, a synthetic android who happens to be the survivor of the ill-fated Prometheus voyage, and we're betting he's got some ominous advice about the other lethal inhabitants of the planet. Judging by his morally dubious actions in Prometheus though, he might hinder more than help. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is exciting for 3 reasons. Firstly, it's finally getting a proper big screen adaptation after decades of excuses and near misses. Secondly, lead Gal Gadot was about the only ray of light in the dirge that is Batman vs Superman, working with limited material to create a Diana Prince as capable as she is likeable. And thirdly, its highly intriguing World War I setting, a scenario which will hopefully answer some big questions about the so far underused character without leading into 1,000 more deliberately vague sequel teasers. A great director in Patty Jenkins, who also headed up the Oscar-winning Monster, and a hopefully good script co-written by DC's Jeff Johns means Wonder Woman could actually be the first genuinely decent film set in the new DC Extended Universe.
How can a woman possibly fight in this?
Fight? We use our principles, although I am not opposed to engaging in a bit of fisticuffs should the occasion arise.
SpiderMan Homecoming. Post-Marvel success, there's a lot to be excited about with Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland is playing Peter Parker / Spider-Man and has already won fans over in Civil War. There's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man, and set pictures suggest Spidey will be seeing him both in New York and the Avengers base, so expect the film to be connected to the wider MCU. Most interestingly of all is former Batman Michael Keaton as the main villain Vulture. But the bad guys don't stop there. The gadget-building Tinkerer and Shocker are also involved. The only mystery so far is who exactly Zendaya is playing, after she said she's definitely not MJ.
This does not mean you're an Avenger, in case you were wondering.
Oh. That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. Oh, alright kid. Good luck out there.
Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner defies sequelization. The power of its ending, with Deckard haunted by ambiguous implications about the nature of modern humanity, gains power from the fact that we don't know what happened next. Yet if anyone was going to carry the story of Ridley Scott's world and its synthetic people struggling for the right to live, Denis Villeneuve is the man for the job. His nightmarish thriller Enemy, the sober alien contact film Arrival, and his penchant for human tension exemplified by Sicario demonstrates how he can capture the Blade Runner tone. The rest depends on a brilliant script, and whether or not Edward James Olmos shows up in that jaunty hat again. Thor Ragnarok. The plot of Ragnarok is a heavily guarded secret, so it's tricky to glean what it's about. But we do know that Cate Blanchett is playing Hela, the Norse goddess of death and the villain of the piece. However, given that Jeff Goldblum will be playing the Grand Master, a being with cosmic powers who enjoys toying with others as if they're pieces on a chessboard, maybe Hela will be having her strings pulled from behind the scenes. Of course, Tom Hiddleston's Loki will be around, and we could be seeing a dash of espionage, considering he was disguised as Odin in the post-credit scenes for Thor: The Dark World.
Anyone else?
Justice League. While the DCEU is often criticised for being too dark and grim, our first peeks at Justice League have us hopeful that this could be the film that rights the ship. Batman's sourpuss, old and grumpy personality feels more like a grandpa we can't help but love, while the Flash is happy to crack jokes as often as he cracks the sound barrier. Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot were 2 highlights of Dawn of Justice, so the more time we get to spend with them, the better. And hey, it looks like Aquaman is going to be a legitimately cool guy thanks to Jason Momoa, aka Khal Drogo's, intimidating presence. Yes, we've been burned before, but Justice League has us ready to give loving the DCEU another chance.
I'm in.
You are? Just like that?
Yeah, I need friends.
Great.
Can I keep this?
Star Wars 8. Oh, come on. Do I really need to tell you why you should be excited? Part of the reason that The Force Awakens is so brilliant is that for the first time in 20 years, Star Wars fans have had a reason to speculate. Suddenly we've got unanswered questions. What happened to Luke? Why is Kylo Ren such an arsehat? And who are Rey's parents? Star Wars 8 promises to answer some, if not all, of those questions, and hopefully it will leave us with even more. The Star Wars universe is suddenly more exciting than ever. And that completes our list. Of course, there are more films to get excited about next year, but some of them don't have trailers. So if you feel that we've missed something, then let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more entertainment news, reviews, previews and features right here on GamesRadar Plus.